Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. This is the digital asset sensei of Kung Tech Fu, coming back to you with part two of stablecoins and what they can do for you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is not going to be a long, drawn out video like yesterday. This is partly going to be to gloss over some of the portions that you may have missed yesterday because I basically went to watch the video and I noticed that a little over halfway through the video, the soundtrack once again jumped off. So there were some gems and jewels that you guys, didn't actually get to hear me talk about, And I know you die hard, some of you die hard people, you probably watched it anyway, just trying to piece together what you were seeing visually. So I apologize for that. But this is part two, and I'm just going to give you one or two examples, and I'm not going to get very wordy in this one. And so, of course, as you guys already know, I'm not going to go to it. As you guys already know, you're going to need a couple of tools, and of course, I have the links down in the description for UPHOLD, for KRAKEN, for Caleb and Brown, and of course, Orange Gateway, so that you can find BSV, because BSV is the original Bitcoin protocol is, kind of hard to find because they are gatekeeping because they have BTC, that which is basically just become another uh, financial tool for the banking system because they can control the banks can control BTC, but they cannot control the original Bitcoin protocol. So with that, we're back here on DeFi Llama, ladies and gentlemen. And DeFi Llama is a tool that you're going to need, in order to help you ascertain and plot your strategies. And your strategies will continue to change. But we're going to talk about what stablecoins can do for you and or money as a service, ladies and gentlemen. And there are many stablecoins, as I pointed out previously. And the purpose of a stablecoin is, of course, to have a digital dollar so that you can provide liquidity. The ultimate goal, of course, is to multiply your money. I told you we're trying to do three things with our capital. The capital, of course, is the money that you have. So you get the money. The second thing you do is we're trying to multiply our money. And the primary thing we're using for that, of course, is compound interest. And then, of course, after that, you have to find a way to keep the money. And that's where, you do the rinse and repeat, basically. So the best thing for you to do is to determine, what is, a taxable event and what is not a taxable event. And this is where lending and borrowing comes in, because when you lend yourself, collateral, there's no taxes on that money. So you can start to get away from, because that's the only place where compound interest is really possible. This is why, religions, you know, uh, have a whole lot of money because they have separated money from the state. So everything that they get in the form of charity, can go directly to the institution, So this is what we have to do. So a lot of cryptocurrencies, depending on where you are geographically, may or may not initiate a taxable event, okay? Because they are digital assets, meaning that they are your property. So therefore, most cryptocurrencies will not generate a taxable event. But these things will continue to change as governments continue to come down on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And as a matter of fact, in some places, they are making it very difficult for their citizens to get their hands on cryptocurrency, because if a person really masters, you know, uh, being their own bank and getting their own money, they can become financially independent. And of course, these governments, want you financially dependent upon them so that they can force you into being docile. Okay, because if you become financially independent, you become very difficult to enslave. Okay, so we're here on DeFi Llama, and you can go and you can take a look at, these stable coins here. And I want you to guys, I always want you guys to stay to the end of the video, but I didn't quite get to the point of the matter of yesterday's video. I'm just going to go through a couple of quick things here. So when you have liquidity, or when you have stable coins, what you essentially want to do in order to multiply your money is you want to provide liquidity. Now, whether that's in the form of lending and borrowing, because if you give yourself a loan and then you take from that loan, of course, you don't want to take the loan and then go spend the money on bills. You want to take that money and you want to apply it somewhere else where you can earn yield on that. So once you do a yield on yield, then of course, then maybe you might pay some bills with the dividends from that. But you want to cycle that thing around a couple of times before you start to use some for to pay for your lifestyle, and some to go back into your treasury, and some to go back into cash flow, just like the Venn diagram that I showed you guys previously. But you basically want to start to go into liquidity pools, and basically what that is those are smart contracts, that hold funds to facilitate, trading on decentralized exchanges. Okay, because you have centralized exchanges, they pretty much provide their own stuff because it's centralized and they're their own private entity. But in decentralized, you get a chance to provide liquidity so that you can earn from the things that you provide. Now, there's two primary ways of that. You have liquidity farms and you have liquidity pools, ladies and gentlemen. So a liquidity farm, if you look here, let me take a quick look here, because I'm actually reading this from my phone, so I don't have to bore you guys, with but basically, yield farming involves providing liquidity to a pool in exchange for rewards. Okay, so there's two different ways. You have a pool and you have a farm. So a liquidity pool is a smart contract that holds funds to facilitate trading on a decentralized exchange, or a DEX, DEX. Okay, it allows users to trade tokens directly without needing a centralized intermediary. Okay, now a yield farm, on the other hand, is also known as liquidity mining, or providing liquidity in exchange for rewards. All right. So basically, you get to play both sides of the field, ladies and gentlemen. And if you go into something like VFAT, when you go over here, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. Now, VFAT is what they call a yield aggregator. And basically, a yield aggregator basically allows you to route liquidity through different decentralized exchanges so that you can have everything in one spot. So I can route liquidity through Aerodrome. I can route liquidity, as you see here, for yourself. I can route liquidity through Pancake Swap. If you want to do Avalanche, there are several blockchains that are available, and you can pick and choose what liquidity farm or pool you want to be involved in. If we look here at the top of the page, ladies and gentlemen, you see we're in the farms section. Okay, and then if you look over here, then you have the pools section. So it is important for you to know the difference so that you can direct your liquidity to exactly where you want it to be, whether you're being the bank and you're providing the liquidity for other people to buy, sell, and do leverage trades, or whether you're doing that yourself. Okay? So you get to pick whether you're in a farm or a pool, ladies and gentlemen. And then you provide liquidity, you learn how the platform works, and then you go ahead and you make your money whether you're in a farm or a pool. Now, one of the cool things you can do with a stable coin, ladies and gentlemen, if you went over here to something like FX Aladdin, you can see that you can actually make 7.14% on your deposit. And if we look at what banks are offering, and this is why banks really, really hate, cryptocurrency and or decentralization, because they simply cannot compete. Okay, so I just wanted to find this statistic here, but basically, The 10-year treasury, that you get from the government actually pays about 3.71%. Okay. But over here on something like FX, Aladdin, and then especially in this portion right here, you can submit your stable coin and actually earn 7.14%, which is double of what you would get if you went to a centralized exchange or debt from buying debt from the government. And you can look at the total balance here, or the TVL, and they pretty much have over $48 million here. So as long as there's adequate liquidity, you know that you can withdraw whenever you feel like it, and your money is actually there and you can see it in front of you. Now, if that liquidity gets like really low, if you see people extracting like crazy, then you too might want to get out before there's no liquidity available. Because in crypto, everything is cash and carry, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to do another example here, and we're going to take a look at USD AI, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the dashboard, and you can go and you're basically using your stablecoin USD AI to provide liquidity to the compute world. All right. And basically, as you see here, it tells you the dollar that builds AI wherever it forms. USD AI provides AI infrastructure operators with strategic, non-dilutive financing facilities structured to meet institutional scale requirements. The protocol originates a non-recourse loans secured by GPU infrastructure and asset level cash flows enabled by on-chain credit instruments that give capital providers liquid, transparent exposure to income producing compute assets. The result is a two-sided credit market. Borrowers access the capital they need to build and scale. That's people with GPUs and data centers. And depositors, which is most likely yourself, access to yield that reflects the actual economics of AI infrastructure rather than token subsidies or trading fees. So you see here very quickly. Now, for depositors, there's for borrowers, and there's for developers. So this is for people that have, GPUs and data centers, because it's very difficult for them to get a loan from the centralized banks, and centralized exchanges, because they see them as very risky. And GPUs have a very short lifespan, maybe 3 to 5 years, because these things are working around the clock. So that's where we come in and we step in and we provide the liquidity for people that provide compute to the world as AI and AI agents take off, ladies and gentlemen. Now, next up we have one more thing that we want to take a look at in terms of what you can do with your stable coins. Hyperliquid is a vast ecosystem. This is pretty much where the video went out yesterday. And I just wanted to show you that you could put your stable coins to work, because you should be making money while you sleep. And this is why I'm showing you how to be your own bank and how to self-custody your appreciating assets, ladies and gentlemen. Because I believe I told you yesterday in the video about another celebrity. I just saw another celebrity, had it. There are a lot of, most institutional places are reputable and they do business for years and years, but every once in a while you'll see a crooked person pop up. And if they have power of attorney over your assets, they can do you dirty and run for the hills with your money, you know. But this is why it's important for you to have your treasury under your control, self custody, ladies and gentlemen. And so you see, you can put your stable coins to work so that you can make money while you sleep. This is why you need to be your own bank and or your own international monetary fund. All right. So you can place your stable coin here, which is USDH, which is Hyperliquid's very own stable coin. And as you can see, I got a couple of dollars over here in Hyperland, and this APR fluctuates. The day before it was 11. Yesterday it was 3 something. Now it's 4 something, 484. And then you got Frontier over here. and all of a sudden they popped up to 32%. This one over here popped up to 27%. So if you're going to put money in here steadily, you might want to spread evenly across the higher protocols. Felix has been here for a while. Hyperfi is pretty good. They're on Aave v3. Hyperlend is Aave v3 as well. But you might want to spread across, saying, to get the higher APRs. Me, myself, I'm going to go with Hyperlend, and I'm going to go with Felix Frontier over here because I've worked with Felix before, which is doing stablecoin depositing there. But I like to use this here because using USDH, this is Hyperliquid's very own stablecoin. So this thing churns around the clock. Now, one thing before we go on, I want to just jump back very quickly to FX Aladdin because there's something that I forgot to tell you. It just hit me. If we look here, ladies and gentlemen, notice what it says. It says FSAVE is a high yield auto compounding delta neutral stablecoin vault. Auto compounding is a very important term that you must pay attention to. So basically what that means is it doesn't give you, when you deposit, your rewards that accrue, they simply don't put them to the side and let them accumulate and then you claim like normal. Okay. What it does is all of your rewards, what it does is it puts it back into the deposit. You see? So let's say you put $100 in. Eventually, as you accrue rewards, it'll be 101, 102, 103, 104. You see, so your deposit will just continue to grow over time. So you don't have to worry about continuing to put fresh capital, fresh capital, fresh capital, because all your rewards are going back into the bucket. And when you want to withdraw, you simply go over here to withdraw and you just withdraw the portion that you want to withdraw in order to take profit so that you don't have to liquidate your position in order to get in order to take profit. Okay. I just wanted to make that clear. All right. So now let's get to the main course. And the main course, of course, is stable.com or stbl.com, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is very powerful. This is very powerful. This is very, very, very powerful because I told you yesterday, when you have a stable coin, there's two sides. There's heads and there's tails. Okay. Now on heads, you have the principal, okay, which is the stable coin itself. It's always $1. Okay. It doesn't change. All right. Hence the word stable. But on the tails side of the coin, you have the yield. And the issuer of the stable coin keeps the yield, which is approximately 4% a year, okay, that the government gives people that buy their debt. So in order for you to issue a stable coin, you have to you have to buy debt from the government. Or in this instance, we can mint our own stable coin. You see what I'm saying? So you can have your own money, ladies and gentlemen, by providing a real world asset as collateral to mint your own stable coin. So as you can see here, STBL, own your economy, empowering ecosystems globally to issue their own money and manage yield. And there is a way, ladies and gentlemen, for you to even go in here and name your own stablecoin. And if you run a business, have your customers use your stablecoin, and you can pay people in your stablecoin and continue to keep the yield that you use to issue that stablecoin. Just like Tether and USDC do. They might take, $100 million and mint $100 million worth of stable coins, 100 million stable coins. They sell us the token, those of us that use their stable coins. And yeah, so they make $100 million. But the part you don't see is they're earning that 4% yield from the government that they keep. They keep the yield. They sell you the principal, ladies and gentlemen. But now the person who made this is the same person that created Tether, Reeve Collins, ladies and gentlemen. He created Tether and then he sold Tether to Paulo Ardeno. or Arduino, and he went on to a new project, and this is one of his new projects where now he is giving you the power with this protocol to have this. You have the same power as USDC and Tether on an individual level, ladies and gentlemen. Every ecosystem is unique. Its currency should be too. With Stablecoin 2.0, this becomes a reality. Stables, money as a service infrastructure. Launch your own programmable yield sharing stablecoin anchored to USST. That's the name of the stablecoin. The universal over collateralized stablecoin backed by high quality RWAs, that's real world assets, ladies and gentlemen, providing stability and global liquidity. Global liquidity. If we were to go down a little further, you will see monetary sovereignty, access to yield, data visibility, instant interoperability. All right. Now let's just take a quick look at this video and see what we can see here. Let me see if we can get some sound going, ladies and gentlemen. I'll have to hold on one second here because, of course, nothing goes right when you're making a video.
We reached the limit of a single global currency. It started simple, objects we trusted to move value. Then came gold, heavy, scarce, powerful. Paper replaced metal. Governments replaced scarcity with promise. Plastic made money faster. Banks made it profitable for them. Then money went digital, bits instead of bills. Stablecoins arrived, a programmable dollar for the world. But the value they created stayed locked away. We reached the limit of a single global currency, because money was never meant to stay the same. Now, value moves across thousands of intelligent currencies, each shaped by the ecosystem it serves with its own ecosystem-specific stablecoin. This is money as a service, not one currency for everyone, but the right currency for every ecosystem. And at the center stands USST, the Universal Stablecoin, the Universal Liquidity Layer, powered by STBL, connecting all ESS currencies into a single, stable, and scalable network. In Stablecoin 2.0, ecosystems become economies. Communities become participants. Money becomes a service. Programmable, productive, sovereign. Stable is leading this next era of money, and it's already here. It started simple.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let me show you very quickly before we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to take you into the protocol. There's some more stuff that you can go down here and look at, but I'm just going to take you into the protocol itself. And when you first come into the protocol, you're going to see your dashboard, and it's going to show you spend your stable coin, keep your yield. That's the whole point of this, because when you buy a stable coin off the market, whether it's USDT or USDC, you have to go and find your own yield. Okay. They're already getting their yield when they issued it. Before they even sold it to you, they were already getting the yield, that 4% or 5% that they get from the government, and when they sell it to you, they're making more monies in the front end and on the back end. And now you have that same ability when you mint USST, ladies and gentlemen. So this is the dashboard, and it's going to show you the price. It's just going to give you some overall, what the collateral is, what the proof of reserves is, you know, what is USST and how it works? It's a stable coin backed by real world assets. You mint the USST by depositing real world asset tokens as collateral. The collateral remains deposited to support the USDT supply, while USDT can be freely used, transferred, or spent. What is yield and where does it come from? YLD, yield generated by real world assets backing USST. And basically, ladies and gentlemen, when you mint your stable coin, so if we go down here to mint, you would have to connect your wallet here. But when you go to mint, you're going to use an RWA, and the RWA that's supported right now is from Ondo Finance. and Ondo Finance has something called USDY, and they have OUSG. Now, both of those things are accepted here, and you can deposit as much as you have. Of course, you might have $500, you might have $5,000 worth, and you go ahead and you mint your stable coin, and that stable coin will go into your wallet, ladies and gentlemen. All right, it will go into your wallet, and once it goes into your wallet, ladies and gentlemen, then you can use the yield, and the stablecoin will continue to earn yield until you decide to dissolve that position and reacquire your collateral. Okay. So, and once you do that, you can also go to something like here where you go to MFS 2.0 live. And when you go to this, that's going to allow you to stake either your STBL coin or your USST or both at the same time. Well, actually, you don't have three options. You just have the two. You have either STBL or STBL plus USST as a liquidity pair. And you could stake it for 3 days, 7 days, 10 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, what have you. It goes all the way up to 180 days, ladies and gentlemen. And based upon that will determine how much money you actually, what your multiplier is. And of course, the longer you commit, the higher the multiplier, ladies and gentlemen. So there it is in a nutshell. You want to know how to be your own bank, ladies and gentlemen? This is it right here in a nutshell. This platform gives you, in principle, the same power. You can put $1,000 in here. You could put $1,000,000 in here. Okay, there is no limit to how much you want to earn yield on consistently while simultaneously having access to the liquid stablecoin to either take to another protocol to use, to swap it out for another cryptocurrency and place that liquidity on another blockchain, and then you can come back and acquire that, but that collateral stays here earning yield for you. And what I am doing is, instead of taking the USST elsewhere, I'm keeping it in-house. So when my 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, whenever that is up, I can then choose to take that collateral and go back to my portfolio. And once I go to my portfolio, I can alleviate that position. Each position uh, has a maturity date of about 30 days. Okay, so after 30 days, you can alleviate that position, or you can keep it there to continue to earn yield, ladies and gentlemen. So I invite you to come over here to stablestbl.com. Go inside. It's very simple. It is not complex or hard. And if you understand even the basics of navigating in DeFi, this will be very easy for you. And what you can do in order to obtain USDY, you can go over here to the DEX aggregator on DeFi Llama, where you will get the best rates. They will find the best rates for you in all of DeFi, and you can connect your wallet here. You can select the token on the bottom. You can simply type in USDY, which is Ondo US dollar, which is recognized as a real world asset. And you can go here and you can put in how much you want to put in, and it will find the best rate for you. And you can click on the best rate right there. And once you click on the best rate, you can go on down and you can go ahead and swap that into the USDY, which will go directly into your wallet, ladies and gentlemen. And once you have that, then you can come right back over to STBL and mint your stable coins. And now you truly have the power to be your own bank with your own money, using it when you want, how you want, as you continue to multiply your money the way you see fit, ladies and gentlemen. So with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to, go ahead and get out of here. and continue to get this crypto, ladies and gentlemen. So thanks for being here.